What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down the PPI report that came out, what's going on with the Fed, and also what Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend, Elon Musk put on his Twitter page, which is breaking news for Tesla. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details about Elon Musk and my price prediction, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, out of these 12 free stocks, one of them could be a free Tesla share. So please check it out before the offer ends in just 2 weeks. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, we're up 3.59% for the day. Let's go, looking pretty strong. We actually had a very, very nice push to the upside as the day went on. We could see, looking at today, Tesla basically bounced off 290 yesterday, pushed up, got another test of this low range, followed by a really nice push to the upside. Tesla pushed all the way up to 306, and we basically blasted through two major resistance levels, and yet Tesla did very well. And what's very interesting about this could be a clear sign that we could have seen some like margin calls, maybe just some of them, maybe some short covering, maybe some calls being bought that really pushed the share price up. We saw lots of call buying by traders, by big institutions. That's very good for Tesla because now we're showing lots of strength and we are outperforming the overall market to some margin. However, I want to talk about the big news that came out and how this affected Tesla first before we get into more details. PPI came out. It actually fell 0.1% in August amidst all of the inflationary fears. And this is actually the producer price index, which is kind of like CPI for the producer side. And this is important because it still is super, super high. It's basically the same as last month. And that's not a good sign for our economy, for our markets. And I want to talk about this right here now, because now a lot of the kind of like stress comes on the Fed. What are they going to do about this? Are they going to raise rates even harder or are they not? And I really believe that the Fed is going to raise rates depending on what the stock market and maybe the other markets as well do. And this is important because right now we've kind of priced in a 75 basis point rate hike by 76% and 100 basis points by 24%. So if this switches, if the market starts to price in an even more hawkish Fed, this could actually incentivize them to be even more hawkish as well. However, it's not guaranteed just yet. So we really have to see how the market really moves based off this. And I also want to transition to SPY a little bit later, but first let's talk about some data right now. You'll notice that the price comparison between Tesla and SPY is a little bit similar, but the price pairs ratio went up a little bit more because it's showing that Tesla's outperforming SPY. This means that Tesla is actually running at a higher rate as it has a higher beta than it actually had a little bit earlier. That's a good sign because now Tesla's outperforming SPY, the NASDAQ, the QQQ, and so on and so forth. Many big analysts are giving Tesla a buy rating, which is a very good sign. And also, when we look all the way down here at the seasonality price action, you'll notice that around the beginning of September, Tesla tends to actually have a slight push to the upside, followed by a bit of a drop. So as of right now, it does look like we are respecting that. But now the real question is, how do we really go from there? And this is where I want to transition into the SPY. So looking at SPY, something very important is going on. SPY was absolutely crazy today. If you guys were watching it, big bounce into open. We went green, then red, then held green for a couple of hours, then a huge push to the red, followed by a big run at the very end to the green. So very crazy day. SPY was all over the place, and it did not have a massive effect on Tesla like it typically would. I want to talk about something else though, because when we look at the daily, I mentioned in my previous videos that SPY was respecting this downtrend. See this downtrend right here, this trend line? We're bouncing off of it, bouncing off of it, bouncing off of it. And now we appear to be respecting an uptrend. So this trend line is now like to the upside. You'll notice we bounced off of it, we bounced off of it, pushed up, we bounced off of it, pushed up. Now we're looking like we're testing it again. So right here, it's a little hard to see, but we were actually testing the trend line. We did actually drop below it temporarily, but then we pushed up, which is completely fine, similar to when we went to 388. And I want to warn everyone that if SPY ends up somehow pushing to the downside below 390 and we hold 390 or lower than that, like the 380s, it's going to be a bad sign for the markets. And we're not super far from that. However, I have good news for you. And that's the fact that when you look at the daily, this appears to be a doji right here. And this is typically a trend reversal signal that SPY might actually start pushing up a bit. Because when you look at dojis, sometimes you could see that they may have like somewhat wider looking candles to them, but sometimes they're really, really thin. And you can see typically on these big downtrends, you get a doji followed by a big reversal, followed by a big downtrend, another doji followed by a big reversal again. So this doesn't guarantee it, but it is one indication that SPY might start pushing up a little bit for tomorrow. And this would be good for Tesla. It would actually help Tesla to some degree, despite everything that's going on with Tesla right now. Now, one other thing I liked about Tesla today is when we look at the volume all the way up here, the overall volume was 72 million relative to the average volume at 57 million. I just rounded it up. And you'll notice that this is actually for the week. So overall, we have higher volume. We're starting pushing up on higher volume, and that's a good sign. And then looking down here, as of right now, the short volume percentage is a little bit high. I'm hoping to see this coming down a bit if Tesla truly is going to turn bullish. So right now we have a lot of news, a lot of things out there set to maybe let us push up just a little bit. But please note, when we look at the daily on Tesla, not only did we kind of like bounce off this trend line, but we have very key resistance zones coming up. The first one right here is around that 305 to 309 range. We tend to have strong resistance there. And the really strong resistance is between, I would say, like 310 to 314. We got plenty of rejections off this zone right here. So it does look like Tesla might actually push up a little bit more if we end up doing that. And then we could end up actually testing strong resistance. And that's where you have to really pay attention to what Tesla does. So from this point in the video, I'm going to transition into kind of drawing out how this could play out. So this is basically tomorrow. What I want to let you guys know is that I'm very cautious about tomorrow, because the first thing you have to remember is the market is not in a perfect state. I mean, CPI is still very high. People are not sure about what the Fed is truly going to do. Markets may be kind of apprehensive about what the Fed does. So I would say as we approach FOMC next week, that's when things could become very shaky. But for the remainder of the week, I think things should be okay. So let's go over the bullish possibility, then the bearish possibility. If we're bullish tomorrow, Tesla will likely retest 305. If we get enough volume, if the buyers come in, if we potentially see some more short covering, more margin calls, Tesla has the potential to push up to about 309. Could we break it? It really depends on many factors. If there's enough steam there, we could break past it. If we do, then 314 is going to likely be our next target, 314 to 312. And if we test that, we could get a big rejection off that, and or we might just kind of like hold on to a range around there. But what I'm seeing is maybe a more bullish move, kind of like this for Tesla, if we were to kind of hold up for the majority of the day. If SPY is a little choppy, there could be some moments where we kind of turn to the downside temporarily, but I am anticipating a nice push going into close. We could see a move kind of like this. This would be a more bullish possibility. I do think we're most likely going to see a move like this. And we could end up coming down maybe just a little bit near the very end and maybe closer to 305. But honestly, it doesn't matter that much. Overall, that would be a more bullish possibility. Now, what's a more bearish outcome? Let's just say, for instance, somehow the market is just kind of choppy. They're tricking a lot of investors. They're trapping them. And SPY ends up kind of like tanking to some degree. Maybe SPY ends up retesting its trend line and Tesla shows some weakness. What could happen is Tesla comes back to this range, maybe retests 306 and gets a big rejection off of it again. Then we come down like this. We come back to 300, kind of like this. But if we can't hold 300, we don't get those quick bounces, it could come down to 294. And if we do end up retesting 294, what could happen is we try to hold up for some time and we actually struggle to hold and we end up closing very close to 295, maybe a little lower than that. This would be a more bearish possibility. And as of right now, considering the fact that volume is picking up, considering that a lot of buyers are coming in, and the fact that SPY appears to be in a zone it typically bounces off of, we're more likely to see a move kind of like this, Tesla pushing to the next range, maybe kind of struggling to break past strong resistance, unless we do end up pushing like really hard. But then once again, we have gotten rejected off that many, many times. And also, the market future is still kind of capricious. It's still very, very unpredictable because of what the Fed could end up doing with its high inflation. So that's the reason why I would be very cautious when trading this. I'd be very careful, but I am a little bit more bullish than bearish for tomorrow. And I think it's a little bit more likely we see a move like this. So with that out of the way now, I want to transition to the part about Elon Musk. We do have great things about Tesla because look, right now, Tesla, it's kind of choppy. The whole market is kind of choppy, but the long term future is still absolutely beautiful. I'm going to show you one of the main reasons why. According to big sources, Tesla has reduced the cost of manufacturing its cars by 57% since 2017. Elon Musk responded, this was harder than reaching volume production, which was insanely hard. And he has an absolutely incredible point, in my opinion, because if you think about it, Tesla's a company that thrives off achievement. They've actually killed it when it comes to the things they've achieved, and they are doing a very good job at actually bringing those costs of production down when it comes to the new cast system, to the new gigafactories. And I really believe that the efficiency of this company will increase the odds of them reaching their goals of production and deliveries, and that in turn will help translate into the share price. I really feel that way. It's very likely for the future, not to mention the other big catalysts out there, such as AI Day coming relatively soon, not to mention the fact that, Tesla's going to be developing a humanoid robot, their AI, full self-driving technology, Tesla phone is also possible. So lots of big things are coming, guys. I'm super, super bullish for its long-term future. For the short term, I do anticipate lots of choppy price action, maybe some crazy fake outs could be coming left and right, like all over the place. Sometimes the market is crazy, but I am still a little bit more in favor of the bullish side than the bearish outcome for tomorrow. Now, remember, either of these are possible. This is just more likely, but always remember the support and resistance levels. If Tesla pushes up, we have resistance at 305 to 306, then resistance at 309. Break past that, then around that 312 to 314 range has lots of resistance too. Now, if we somehow break to the downside, we currently have support at 300. It's not super strong. We did actually break below it temporarily. We also have a support at 294 to 295. That's the next major support zone. And after that, comes 290 if we do end up dropping even lower than that. So please remain calm, cool, and collected. Do what you have to do. I will most definitely see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.